about the cultures themselves, about the richness of the literature. And then the other part is that it was languages at Davis. In fact, it was the Spanish department at Davis was actually one of the first places that online, in a broad sense, was developed when faculty began to rethink the undergraduate teaching laboratory in light of networking. And so we're talking about the mid-1990s, and there's one professor there who's developed a course for Keith, started with what he called remote TA. So he could have a TA, not in the lab, somewhere else, actually students typing in questions, and the TAs would be in another laboratory, perhaps handling 2 or 3 laboratories, and this is sort of, you can imagine, this is the beginning, and eventually he ends up with online Spanish courses that are now approved system-wide. I won't go on. I think there are other things that I could point to, and I'm happy to take
We had
questions.
your written testimony, so yeah, I think we all read that.
Testimony. I would just mention one other thing, and it came out of the first presentation this morning. And I really, I'm a transplant. I'm from the East Coast. But after teaching in the University of California, after working with my colleagues in CSU for the last 2 years as a Senate chair and vice chair, the system that we have here is not Minnesota, it's not Oregon, it's not Colorado. It's the University of California, and it's part of a master plan that includes CSU and the community colleges. It's really special. People come here from around the world to figure out what it is we've done, how it is we've been successful. And the fact is that when we are still educating this year in the University of California, the top 13% of the applications to the University of California from public high schools, those students got into a UC of their choice, one of the ones that they applied to. So we are doing what the master plan asks us to do. We've done this with budget cuts. We've done it with capacity problems. We continue to do it. We're really proud of it. And we think we're offering these kids an education that has suffered, but it's certainly on par with the best education in the United States, if not the world, in a public institution. So I just thank you for this opportunity, and I will be happy to ask any questions, and I'm sorry that I've taken perhaps a little too long.
That's okay. Ms. Guerin?
Well, good afternoon, and thank you for this opportunity. I'm going to assume that you've read my testimony that I sent to you. I am prepared to discuss it.
We did.
But I would like to just add a few comments, if I may. Yes, it's true that I joined the CSU faculty at Fullerton in 1989, but I was actually a student there as well in 1975, and also a product of Santa Ana Community College and UCLA. And so I am a product of the higher education system here, the master plan. It served me well, it served my family well. My brothers graduated, my sister-in-law. You know, my husband was a veteran, came back and was an engineer with Hewlett-Packard for 29 years. So it is something that is special, that none of our parents had my parents didn't have a high school degree until they were 30. They had a GED. And so I think it's worth protecting, and it's worth pointing out something that President Alexander is fond of saying, and that is that the CSU is the public higher education institution that the public wants. They just don't know. They just don't know it yet. So you asked questions about speeding up the time to degree, and I just